Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Miranda and today I'm going to be talking to you about all of the books I read in July. It was another really weird reading month for me. Who is surprised? I'm still in a weird reading slump that I can't seem to shake, although I did read a couple of really good books this month, so it wasn't all bad. Anyway, we're just going to get right on into it. So the first book I read was something a little bit different for me, and that is The Unstrung Harp by Gorey. So my dad got this for me because he's very lovely like that. And this is a little mini book by Gorey. I just said that. It's about a guy trying to write a novel, and that's it. Essentially, Gorey does really cool illustrations. They're kind of macabre, kind of creepy, and I really love them. He's a really interesting person. This is mostly illustrated with a couple of little bits of story. It was fun. I liked it. I like Gorey and his illustrations, so this was a nice time. Then I listened to the audiobook of You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson, which I really enjoyed. So this is a kind of YA sort of high school novel, kind of romance, basically about a girl who is sort of, you know, an anxious overachiever, and she's really desperate to go to medical school, and she needs this scholarship, which she then doesn't get, but she needs the money to go to college, so she decides to run for prom queen. Prom is a massive thing in this school, and yeah, the prize money is a lot for becoming prom queen, so she's like, I'm gonna do that, even though it's a totally out of character thing for her because she's all anxious, doesn't like attention, not in a kind of I'm not like other girls, I don't want attention and be happy and look pretty kind of way. And that was one thing that I really liked about it, was that she did feel like a really genuine character, she felt like a person, not just a kind of caricature. And although there is some kind of you know, stereotyping of the really popular bitchy girl, it's a lot more nuanced than you'd maybe expect, and I really appreciated that, in terms of the characters and making them fully fleshed people, and that was one of my favorite things about it. It also has a really cute sapphic romance, and that was adorable. There's lots of interesting things about it, in it, about race and about class and about confidence and how you see yourself. There's just actually a lot going on in this book. So although the writing wasn't anything particularly special and I wasn't hugely invested, I had a good time and it did what it said on the tin. It achieved what it set out to do. Can't ask any more of it than that. Next, I finally read The Vanishing Half by Bennett. I know, how long has it taken me to get around to this? Freaking years. I mean, about a year, but it feels like years. Anyway, I really enjoyed this. It didn't quite live up to all the hype for me. I know, shock. And I rated it 4 stars, so it's still a really solid book, but I'm not sure it deserves all the mad praise it's been getting. Controversial. So, things I loved about this book, the fact that it is incredibly readable, and really just keeps you wanting to know more, you know. But as well as that, it also has so much to it, so many layers and so much complicated idea stuff going on, as well. Love that. And it gave me lots of thoughts on, you know, all the obvious stuff family ties and creating yourself, and how that is, when that's lying and when that's just finding who you are. I thought that was all incredibly interesting, and made me have lots of thinky thinks. I also think the characters were really complex and really well drawn, but I kind of wish that we got more time with them. It's very sweeping, and there's a lot happening and there's a lot of people that are kind of discussed in this, but I feel like I wanted more time with especially the like original twins that you start off with. I wanted to know more about them, and I also felt it ended in a kind of weird way. It was, I don't know, the sort of last like quarter felt a bit weird to me, but generally really beautifully written, amazingly done. I can see why it's been so popular. It just wasn't like for me, you know. However, a book that was, it was just so good, so good. If you've watched my last video, my Books You Birthday video, I mentioned it as one of the best books that I've read in the last year that I've had my YouTube channel, which might be a bit like, I've only just finished it, so it's a, you know, hasn't had time to sit very much, but also I will stand by that. What is it, you ask? What is it? What is this book? It's Mrs. Death by Salena Godden. Oh my god, do I love this book. This is just one of those books where I don't want to talk about it too much because I know that I can't put it into words what this book is and what it's about, and that just frustrates me. So I'm not going to go into it too much about what it is actually about. You know what I will do? I will read what I said in my Instagram review because I actually thought it was quite eloquent and pretty. So, Death is a poor black woman, always there in the corner of your eye as you try to ignore her. She tells her stories to Wolf of their ancestors and how they lived and died, of the forgotten deaths and the beginnings of life. Doesn't that sound fun? Basically, this book is like nothing else I have ever read. It is completely unique in its form. It contains songs, diary entries, like creepy ghost stories, flashbacks, what else? Like massive musings on like where life came from, and stories about like individual death. It's oof. Weirdly, I think what makes me love this book so much is the fact that I didn't love all of it. I'm so contrary. What do I mean by that? Basically, there were lots of bits of this that I didn't get because it's quite like poetic in its writing. Salena Godden is a poet, so it's poetic. But because of that, there were certain bits where I was like, I'm not entirely sure I connect with this, or I'm quite like in tune with what's going on here. However, the thing as a whole just makes so much sense and was so beautiful that I know that when I go back to it, I will get more out of it, and more out of those individual parts, which makes me incredibly excited. And I didn't realise that was what it takes for me to rate something 5 stars, but I think it kind of is. Like, if it's something that I can see myself rereading and getting more out of the next time, that's definitely a 5 star. Honestly, this book just, there are lines in here that have made me reconsider whether I want to get a tattoo or not, because I'm like, I want these words on me. That's how much I love this book. High praise, high praise. Also, Salena Godden now follows me on Instagram, so that's fun, because I posted a review and then she commented on it and I was like, so she follows me on Instagram. We're besties now, we're besties. This is just one of the rare gems of a book where it feels like it was written for you, and I loved it. I loved it. What more can you say? Probably one of the best books I've read this year. No, definitely one of the best books I've read this year. Love it so much. Then lastly, I listened to the audiobook of The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Deesha Philyaw. This was so good. Basically, it's a collection of short stories, like I said, about women who go to church and their secret lives. It's a lot about, again, family relationships, like mothers and daughters, fathers and daughters, sisters, but also romantic relationships between women, is gay. There's a lot about like desire and love, and shame and all that kind of fun, good stuff. And it's essentially just little looks into the lives of different women connected with church somehow, whether they go to church, whether they're have families go to church and they're kind of rebelling against that, whatever it is. And as with every short story collection, I didn't love them all, but there were a couple in here that really, really moved me. I think there's one called How to Make Love to a Physicist, which is about a developing relationship between two people, and how they're kind of like how the narrator, her kind of trust issues and communication problems come into that, and that was really, really moving. Love that. There is also one written as a letter to from a woman to her sister who she didn't know that she had, who's kind of estranged from her father, who was a sort of bad father to her and the three sisters, I think it's three? Yes, that she knows of and that she's kind of connected to, and she's writing to this other unknown sister after her father's death, kind of explaining who they are, inviting her to join their family and discussing their father, and saying, you know, he was sort of shit, like this is who he was and this is what you're missing out on, essentially, and that kind of explaining that relationship, and that was really beautifully done. And generally it was just like, they were all beautifully, beautifully written with like just very, very simple prose, but so that you got like fully into the people's heads within the small like time frame that you had. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I don't remember many of the stories very well, but it was a solid, really good collection, and I'd love to go back to it at some point. So that's it. Those are the books that I read in July. Not that many, but it was pretty good, to be fair. It was a solid month. My TBR is, as of today, 107. I doubt I will finish another book before I upload this. If this is uploaded a day late, I'm sorry. It's been a weird few days. My TBR is currently 107, not because I finished a book, but because I DNF'd Luster by Leilani literally today. I just don't care. Like, there have been a couple of lines where I'm like, oh, that's a really well-observed thing. Good job. But otherwise, I don't care. But otherwise, I think that's it. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you very soon.